Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're going to be peeling back the curtain on one of the most, ubiquitous brands on the entire planet. I absolutely love stories like this because it completely challenges what you think you know about a company you probably drive past every single day. We are looking at a business strategy so brilliantly hidden in plain sight, you're literally going to wonder how you never noticed it. Okay, let's just dive right in. So, what if I told you that the biggest fast food company in the world isn't actually a food company? I know. No way, right? It sounds totally ridiculous at first. I mean, most of us walk through those doors and think the transaction is incredibly simple. They make burgers, fries, and Coke, we buy them, and bam, that's how they make their billions. But actually, that is only a tiny fraction of the story. Because hidden right behind every Big Mac and every Happy Meal is literally one of the smartest, most bulletproof businesses ever created. And once you understand the trick they pulled off, I promise you, you will never look at those golden arches the same way again. This right here perfectly illustrates the grand illusion we all fall for. The visible product, right, is the burger business. The grease, the fryers, the super quick service. But the reality? It's a massive global real estate empire. See, McDonald's actually owns some of the most valuable land on Earth. We are talking about prime city corners, the absolute busiest highway intersections, and the most crowded shopping districts globally. These are geographic gold mines where millions of people pass by every single day. They aren't just selling you a quick lunch, they are sitting on the most premium dirt in the world. Which brings us to the absolutely craziest truth of all. When you walk into a franchise McDonald's, the person running it, the franchise owner, often doesn't even truly own the restaurant. I mean, who owns the physical building? McDonald's. Who owns the land it sits on? McDonald's. And where does the monthly rent go? Straight to corporate. The franchise owner is essentially just a tenant. So the absolutely crucial question is, how exactly did a tiny, humble burger stand become a global landlord wielding billions in property? Well, to answer that, we gotta go back to the very beginning. The whole story starts in California in the 1940s with two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald. Now, back then, going to most restaurants was an absolute chore. Customers waited forever. Menus were massive and confusing, and the service was just messy. But the McDonald brothers had a completely revolutionary idea. They asked, what if food worked exactly like a factory? So they stripped everything down, they created a tiny menu, implemented incredibly fast cooking, and offered cheap prices. Think of it like cars moving flawlessly down an assembly line, but, with burgers. And it worked perfectly. Cars lined up, families crowded in. But here's the catch. The brothers really thought small. They just wanted a comfortable, easy life, definitely not a global empire. And then, a man named Ray Kroc enters the picture. Now, Ray wasn't rich, and he certainly wasn't famous. He was just a regular guy trying to make a living selling milkshake machines. But one specific number stopped him dead in his tracks: 8. This tiny little restaurant out in California had ordered exactly 8 milkshake machines from him. For a single location, that volume was completely unheard of. Ray was just totally shocked and immediately knew something highly unusual was happening out west. He just had to go see it for himself. When Ray arrived, he seriously couldn't believe his eyes. The food came out in seconds, the workers moved like clockwork, and the whole place ran like a fine-tuned machine. While the brothers saw one successful restaurant, Ray Kroc, he saw thousands. He practically begged the brothers to let him franchise the business. Now, a franchise is simply a system where other entrepreneurs can pay to open their own McDonald's using that exact same highly efficient factory-like operation. Long story short, Ray got the green light, and he started selling the dream. At first, it looked like a massive, completely unstoppable success. New locations were popping up everywhere across the country. But behind closed doors, Ray Kroc was facing a massive existential problem. McDonald's wasn't actually making much money. The growth was massive, for sure, but the profits? Incredibly weak. They were only earning these tiny percentages from the franchise fees. Meanwhile, a lot of these new restaurant owners were really struggling. Some completely failed, some paid their fees way late, and others just flat out ignored the strict operational rules. Ray was deeply frustrated. The brand was expanding like wildfire, but the bank accounts just weren't reflecting it at all. Section 1. The pivot, changing the formula. See, the business formula was fundamentally broken, and it required a pivot so radical that it would transform McDonald's forever. Enter a 1950s financial expert named Harry Sonborn. He took one look at Ray Kroc's struggling business model, looked him dead in the eye and said, "You're not in the burger business, you're in the real estate business. I want you just to let that sink in for a second." That single sentence changed the whole shebang. It completely reframed the company's entire purpose from selling food to acquiring land. So how do they actually execute this? Well, they developed what I like to call the genius landlord strategy. Step 1, instead of letting the franchise owners scramble to try and buy their own land, McDonald's corporate steps in and buys the land itself. Step 2, McDonald's builds the physical restaurant right on that land. And then step 3, McDonald's rents that entire property back to the franchise owner at a premium. The franchisee might be sweating over the fryers, managing the staff, and running the day-to-day restaurant, but McDonald's owns the actual dirt it sits on. It's a visual masterpiece of a business model, right? A corporate landlord just collecting a steady stream of rent every single month from thousands of tiny burger shops. This landlord model absolutely wins, completely bypassing all the normal headaches of running a restaurant. First off, they secured stable rent. Even if a specific location has a really bad month and burger sales slow way down, guess what? The franchisee still owes McDonald's the rent check. Second, land appreciation. Over decades, as cities naturally grow around them, those prime corner locations become incredibly valuable. And third, franchise control. If an owner goes rogue and breaks the quality rules, McDonald's holds ultimate power. They can literally evict them, because technically that restaurant is sitting on corporate property. It is just brilliant. Slowly but surely, McDonald's basically stopped behaving like a restaurant company entirely and started acting like a massive, highly analytical real estate firm. They developed a literal science of location. They didn't just buy any land, they bought the best land. They meticulously studied traffic and car movement. They mapped out population density in your schools, highways, and growing city centers. They even analyzed human behavior and commuting patterns to predict exactly where people would be hungry and looking for convenience. Because they realized a fundamental business truth: the location mattered infinitely more than the burger itself. Think about it. A bad burger in a great location, it can easily survive on pure convenience. But a great burger in a terrible, hard-to-reach location will almost certainly fail. McDonald's understood this rule better than almost anyone else in the industry. They treated the physical geography of the store as the true product. Fast forward to today, and the results of this massive pivot are absolutely staggering. While the everyday customer just sees chicken nuggets and fries, Wall Street investors see something completely different. They see billions of dollars worth of premium land worldwide. McDonald's sits on property that other businesses could literally only dream of ever affording. This creates an almost unfair economic advantage. During economic downturns and recessions, while other food chains collapse, McDonald's survives because that underlying rent money never, ever stops flowing. They essentially built a vulnerable food business sitting squarely on top of an indestructible property empire. Section 2. The macro lesson: hidden empires. Zooming out for a second, the story of McDonald's teaches us a much broader lesson. The smartest businesses in the world often don't make their real money the way you think they do. There's a massive difference between the bait and the empire. The visible product, the thing you interact with, the thing they advertise, is just the bait. It attracts the customers and generates some baseline income. But the hidden business, the architecture operating underneath, is what actually creates long-term indestructible wealth. For McDonald's, the burgers are just the bait to get you onto their highly valuable rent-generating property. To reframe some other empires you interact with every single day, just remember that the obvious business is almost never the real business. Take a giant coffee company, for example. Their obvious business is selling coffee, but their real hidden business is selling status and an exclusive environment. Or what about a free social media app? Their bait is letting you connect with friends, but their real business is harvesting and selling your attention to advertisers. And, of course, our burger company. The bait is fast food, but the real business? Being a global landlord. So I leave you with this thought to chew on. The next time you're driving down the street and you pass those giant golden arches, will you just look at the fries? Or will you see the millions of dollars in highly calculated land sitting right underneath them? Because that tiny piece of pavement is exactly how a struggling fast food concept secretly became one of the most powerful and indestructible real estate empires in human history. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to keep peeling back the curtain on the world around you, make sure to subscribe for more explainers on the hidden business strategies operating right in front of your eyes. Thanks so much for learning with me today.